The game is finally here. The Boise State Broncos opening up their season on the road against the Huskies.
Both Burley and Filer had a tough time in their respective conferences last season. Between the two teams, they only tallied 4 wins total. Zach Argyle, your linebacker, was the playmaker in this one. I know he had a forced fumble, a sack, and a couple tackles for loss. How do you think his play helped elevate the team in this game?
This fall, he's been a true leader.
Last night was fight night for Brandon Hot Rod Himpelman, and things got a little bit bloody. Two of these super stocks drivers, Dan Pearson, Casey Pearson, 1 and 2 in the point standings. Tonight didn't exactly go the way you guys wanted, did it, Dan?
No, it did not.
If you're like me, then you absolutely hated losing to your siblings at anything. Well, for two Castle-Ford Cowboys, a sibling rivalry is actually helping them excel at their sport. Now, behind me is the largest crowd in Boise State history to watch the Broncos at Broncos Stadium. 36,864 people. Two key factors for the Senators tonight will be healthy bodies and leadership. I talked to head coach Cam Anderson yesterday in practice, and he said for the first time this season, the entire Senators squad will be dressed out, ready to go on the sidelines, injury-free. It was December 1st. It was the perfect chance for John Pulsifer to shine on his home court in front of his home crowd.
John was the heart and soul of this team.
The air was just changing into a crisp winter haze outside. But what happened inside on the court brought about the biggest change of the season.
What happened to me? Why?
How could the former Twin Falls High School star feel a pop that seemed to make time stop?
It was the worst pain I've ever felt.
John's so tough that I knew, in the look in his eyes when I saw him, I knew there was something wrong.
It just felt like my leg was coming off.
I was getting texts from people going, "Oh no, it looks like an ACL. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think it's an ACL."
John Pulsifer was what seemed to be an athletic anomaly. He tore the cartilage in his knee along with his meniscus, and the recovery time for this type of injury rivals that of an ACL incident.
I just remember going to the locker room and throwing everything that I could, even my crutches. I got a lot of support, a lot of texts, a lot of phone calls, and to tell you the truth, I didn't answer them. Didn't feel like hearing anybody's thoughts or anything. I just wanted to be alone.
For a kid who's always been vocal on and off the court, all of a sudden it seemed like his voice and spirit were trapped.
I was in a kind of dark place for a little bit, not talking to anybody, not doing what I wanted to do, you know? And it sucks, because I never thought I'd be like that.
But misery and anger soon gave way to a brighter emotion.
I knew I had to get back out, and I knew there's hope. There's always going to be hope. I never thought I'd be saying it, but I love walking. I couldn't walk for the first month and a half.
He was on crutches and a brace for 6 weeks. ACL we typically see for 10 days, 14 days max.
And Dr. May finally told me, hey, you know, you can take steps at a time with your crutches, and I just lit up.
With rehab coming along slowly, a weight has been lifted off of Pulsifer, literally and figuratively, through the support of his second family.
They were there 100% of the way with me. Coach Blaine, Coach Ghost, and Coach Devlin all helped me get through it, you know, as well as the rest of the team did. So, you know, they're all there for me. That's what the family is for.
And that CSI family extends beyond the court. Fans from all over the Magic Valley rallied behind John and showed support.
Our community really gets behind these kids, and that's a special part of our program.
While his time at CSI ended too soon, John's basketball journey as Twin Falls' chosen one is far from over.
He hates to lose as much as anybody. With the injury now, he's had to change, and I tell you, he hasn't lost his leadership voice.
In fact, with the ugly injury that came on a day where a winter haze blew in, a pulse from pain and process created a rebirth, awakened like a spring renewal.
It does motivate me because now I know the tools to do everything, because I know that I'll be back to where I once was, and I'll be even better.
I think programs would be crazy not to find a spot in their program for a guy like John Pulsifer.
Once I get to the next level, I'll be just as good or even better.
From Twin Falls, I'm Ngozi, Ekeledo, Idaho's First News.
Let's say you got a tight formation.
Forgive Jason Ellington for getting so excited. It's just that last fall, the Camas County head coach wasn't even sure if he'd have a team to draw up plays for.
Every year we seem to be losing students, and it seems to be getting worse and worse.
We saw it happen last year. Murtaugh High School had to forfeit the rest of its games halfway through the season, and as Gooding geared up for another football season, North Valley Academy, the small school right down the road, faced an unfortunate decision.
We had 6 varsity candidates and 4 young freshmen, and there was no way that we could play 8-man football with just 6 kids.
We worked really hard on trying to figure out what else there was, and we thought, you know, there's 6-man football.
Earlier this week, the IHSAA Board of Directors voted unanimously to start the 6-man football league starting next season.
And we want to give those kids that don't have an opportunity to co-op with other schools a chance to play football.
Here's how 6-man football works. We'll start with an I formation. You've got 3 guys on the line and 3 guys in the backfield. You lose 2 linemen on the line, and your quarterback can't rush the ball. He has to hand it off or pass it before it advances past the line of scrimmage. Now, everybody on the field is an eligible receiver, so that means you might have your typical center acting as a wide receiver. In terms of field size, it's 40 by 80, so it's a little bit smaller. In terms of downs, it's still 4 downs, but it's 15 yards until your first down, which is different from 10 yards in the regular game. Defensively, you're probably going to want to play man-to-man. You'll play zone if your team is pretty fast. So it's quick, fun, and exciting, but not everybody is quite on board with the game changes.
My only concern would be if they were going to force a school to play in the 6-man versus an 8-man. As long as you have a choice to play up in the 8-man division versus the 6-man, then I think it'll be all right.
It doesn't make any difference whether you're playing 6-man, 8-man, 9-man, or 11-man. The outcome's going to be the same. One's going to win, one's going to lose.
And with the outcome made this week, small schools like Camas County were on the winning end of this back-and-forth game. In the Magic Valley, I'm Ngozi, Ekeledo.
To borrow a basketball analogy, one player from last night's Boise State-Washington game was described this way in the post-game conference. Quote, "He played like a point guard tonight, which in this system you need to play like." I'll give you a hint. The dude exploded on offense, meaning that it probably wasn't a Broncos player. The Broncos couldn't find any offense in this one. The Huskies, on the other hand, were the exact opposite. Up by 4 in the third quarter, QB Keith Price finds Kason Williams for the 38-yard pass, putting the Huskies on the 19-yard line. And then Price is just going to continue to mess up everyone's bets in Las Vegas. He's going to find Williams once again, and this time it is going to be in the end zone for 2 back-to-back plays, putting the Huskies up by 10 and setting himself up for something he hasn't done since 2011. More on that in just a bit, but not to be left out. And even without Austin Safarian-Jenkins, I guess we all forgot about Bishop Sankey, including the Broncos defense. His 23-yard touchdown run pretty much put this one out of reach for Boise State, and the 38-6 smackdown is the worst loss in the Chris Peterson era. The offense was just stagnant with no touchdown passes and a pick from Southwick, who finished the night with 152 passing yards. Between veteran wide receivers Matt Miller and Kirby Moore, the duo only combined for 74 yards. And on the flip side, Washington's Keith Price threw for more than 300 yards for the first time since the team's 2000 Alamo Bowl. And running back Bishop Sankey showed the Huskies' first sellout crowd since 2010. Quite the show on a 25 carries for 161 yards performance with a pair of touchdowns.